Hi friends, Megan and Wendy here, and in honor of Hallmark airing The Chicken Sisters on Hallmark Channel, we are re-airing our original reviews and recaps of these episodes that were originally recorded back in September and October of 2024. So enjoy The Chicken Sisters and enjoy these recaps and reviews.
This is a Bramble Jam podcast.
Welcome to Girls Gone Hallmark, a Hallmark review podcast. I'm Megan. I'm a longtime Hallmark movie fan.
I'm Wendy. I'm a former Hallmark hater.
I just realized that in the episode we recorded for yesterday, we at no point said what we were talking about.
Great.
Today we are discussing Chicken Sisters episode 3. This is war, y'all. Maybe. Follow us on Instagram when this podcast is over. Girls Gone Hallmark.
If you hadn't had a chance, I encourage everyone to check out our website, girlsgonehallmark.com. We have so much information over there. I mean, anything that you're looking for. And we're just typing our little hearts out over there, trying to share as much Hallmark information.
And if you love our podcast, which we hope you do because you're listening, we love ratings and reviews so much. And you can leave them in the Apple Podcast app. A word of warning, after you type in your review and click submit, it will take a day or two for it to be approved and to post. But one that just came through is a 5-star review that says, "Thank you, Megan and Wendy, for always keeping it real. I love your honest reviews."
Hey, I'm glad we can make somebody happy. I'm going to keep it real with this episode too.
Uh-oh.
Chicken Sisters episode
Let me
3.
tell you, if you are not in our Facebook group, that's where all the hot goss is getting spilled. And I have to say that there was a lot of chatter about this episode. There was a lot of talk about this, a lot of talk about the Jane mysteries, a lot of talk about falling together. And I'm going to put on my boxing gloves.
Oh, interesting.
Let's talk an episode synopsis.
For Chicken Sisters episode 3,
Either titled This Is War, Y'all or Desperado.
we're going to get into my complaints here real quick, but let me read the synopsis.
Okay.
Franny's and Mimi's crews try to one-up each other as the kitchen clash competition amps up, but their methods leave sisters Amanda and May conflicted.
Okay. Should we dive into our back-end complaints?
Sure. You want me to go first?
Yeah.
Can somebody at Hallmark figure out what we're calling these episodes? Can there be some consistency somewhere? Like we mentioned on last week's episode on IMDb. Now, IMDb is user generated content, right? Anybody can put that information in there.
Uh-huh.
But whoever named these episodes on IMDb, it's completely different than what Hallmark is calling them. So can we just figure it out?
Right.
That's my first complaint. The second complaint is Hallmark PR is not updating their information on their press release site for these episodes.
Uh-huh.
I was telling Megan yesterday off mic, I was like, the writer and director is completely different in this particular episode than it is on the press release.
Yeah, the credits of the episode show different names than the press release does.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. According to the opening credits of the show, this episode was written by Jessica Wood and directed by Paul Fox. The press release still lists Annie Mabane as the writer and Kimi Gatewood as the director.
Yeah. I just think it's sloppy.
Give credit where it's due.
Yeah.
You want to be able to give credit where it's due.
I don't want to be on here saying Kimi Gatewood directed this and she didn't.
And then it makes us look bad.
Yeah.
And then we get messages. And sometimes it's our fault. But in this case, we're doing our best. The information is inconsistent.
What did you say about Hallmark yesterday? You thought they were maybe flying too close to the sun?
Oh, I said Hallmark. Yes. Hallmark's got a lot on their plate. And that was my exact comment. Hallmark may have flown too close to the sun with this season, with dropping Hallmark Plus, with dropping so much new content. Now, that being said, the number of people who care about what we care about as opposed to the actual content is real minuscule.
Sure.
So from a consumer standpoint, I'm all in on a company that wants to give me more content.
Yeah.
Nobody but us really cares about this stuff. There's such a small percentage of people that are digging into this information. It's us and
I'm
members of our
sure
Facebook
Jessica
group.
Wood and Paul Fox, who actually worked on
Absolutely,
this,
right?
I'm sure they care.
Yes. We just want everybody to get in line. That's all.
Yeah.
A couple more news and notes. We do meet 2 new characters in this episode. Pastor McGregor, who is played by Matthew James Dowden. He has a handful of Hallmark projects like Dream Moms, The Holiday Sitter, and When Calls the Heart. And IMDb tells us we will see him again in episodes 5 and 8.
We also met Jarvis, who I call the chicken guy. He's the chicken farmer guy, the chicken distributor. He has absolutely no credit on IMDb, so I wish I could tell you what his name is. I don't know it.
We also... Gruster?
Gruster, you're right. He was not listed on IMDb either. That's why it takes me 6 hours to prep for movies, is because I look at one site and then I look at another site and then I cross-check to see if there's anything listed anywhere. And there wasn't. So shout out justice for Jarvis.
Justice for Jarvis and Gruster. Let's take a quick break and we'll come right back with more Chicken Sisters. All right, let's dive into some key events in this episode.
Okay.
This episode focuses really strongly, I feel, on the differences between May and Amanda in their personalities. And what we see, the long and short of it, is May is always looking towards her future. She's looking towards the next thing, like what's next, bigger and better. And Amanda lives in her memories.
Right.
She's real focused on the sentimentality and then the memories. And what I liked is it gives us some insight as to perhaps why Amanda is stuck in this relationship where she's very clearly unhappy. We have this whole arc with Frank Jr. that we'll talk about, but towards the end it comes back around and the narrator calls Frank Jr. sentimental bric-a-brac. Bric-a-brac is like a tchotchke.
I see. It's good.
So, right, that's just part, she's living in the memories, like how she fell for him and he's not that person anymore. And we obviously see that she finally decides he actually isn't that person. Frank Jr. is a real big, strong part of this episode.
Sure.
And how did you feel about what's happening with Frank Jr. here?
Well, my first question is, does Frank have a problem with alcohol and they're like tiptoeing around it?
I didn't find them to be tiptoeing around it.
Okay. Why aren't we just full out addressing it then? We saw it in the first episode. He was drinking when Amanda came home and like was kind of real shitty to Amanda. And then we see it in this episode where his mom, Nancy, first, okay, let me back it up. She gives him that sign, how to be a great businessman or whatever it is, right? And one of the like lines on it is to
The Gentleman's Guide to Business.
serve your customers and not yourself or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so he kind of steps into this like, yeah, I'm going to take over my daddy's role for literally one day, and tells his mom, go ahead and go home. I'm going to close up the restaurant. She comes back because she has forgotten something. And he's there like 6 beers in. And she's like, what happened? What are you doing? So like the whole Frank storyline, it's just only scratching the surface. Like this is my whole entire problem with this episode too. And I will talk about it, but it's just scratching the surface. I need more information.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think we've dug in enough on Frank Jr. because we're so focused on the Amanda and May and Mimi's and Franny's war of it all. Like, I think we're really deep on the Amanda and May rivalry. They made other references, like when they start filming in another episode at Franny's and they're like, they just want Frank to keep it together. For me, the whole Frank thing, I was like, I didn't believe it because his mom brings him this sign and you're right. He's like, I'm going to be a better man because of my daddy. And he puts on the shirt his mom gives him and he like is sweet to Amanda. He's like, good morning, sunshine. That's not who this guy is. This guy's like, I'm not going to, in my mind, the Frank that we know is the kind of guy who's going to be like, I'm not going to do this for you. Like, stop trying to change who I am. And maybe it's because his mom was like giving him a chance to like be the he just feels really beaten down to me. Like to me, he seems really unhappy in his life, really unhappy. Like his wife's not good enough. His job's not good enough. Nobody takes him seriously. And so maybe this was his chance to like be the person he thinks he deserves to be, which is his dad. I just didn't believe that he was going to buy in that quickly.
Frank's a piece of shit.
And then he's like, don't worry, I'll clean up. And then he realizes, oh, this is hard work. And Amanda's like, yeah, no shit. I've been doing this every single freaking night.
Yeah.
No, this is, where the hell have you been?
Right.
And then that's the point at which he like breaks down and then he's mad at the world.
Yeah. Yeah. And then she gets in turn mad at him.
Yes.
And we'll talk about her in a minute. But if I can just further say, I need Nancy to pull up her big girl panties and lay into Frank. Nancy's the mom.
Yes.
She's so like delicate with him, but this is an adult who is he's a terrible human to me.
Yeah, and it's weird coming in at like Act 3, right? Because this is who Frank has been. This isn't new behavior.
Right.
This is who he is. Now, we just met him. We just met Frank, and we just met Nancy, and we just met all of these people. But this is the man that Nancy's been living with and around for so long. And I agree. She's just giving him chance after chance after chance. Hi, honey. I thought you might like this sign. Look at this nice shirt you might like. You show them who you are with your knowledge about taps. As a mom, I can understand wanting the best for your kids.
Yeah.
And I can imagine how hard it would be to be like, get your shit together. You suck. But at the same time, if I saw my son treating his wife the way Frank treats Amanda, I'd be like, absolutely not.
Yeah, but I think this is where I think that Frank Sr. must have treated Nancy that way.
Oh,
We don't have any backstory on that, and we don't know that, but I feel like patterns repeat themselves. And also, I think maybe the culture there allows for men to not treat their wives that great.
Yeah, because what is Frank Jr.'s origin story? What caused him to be just this kind of shell of a person who's so unhappy with his life? Is it that Frank Sr. treated Nancy that way? We don't know. Is it that he just kind of expected, because it seems to me like Frank Sr. was respected in town. Even Frank Jr.'s like, you're not daddy, like to Nancy.
That was the meanest comment ever. My head would have blown off my shoulders if my kid would have said something like that to me.
Yeah, but so where is all of this coming from? Like, what did you want out of life that you don't have? What is so disappointing?
Yeah, we don't have any context. And you read the book, but it's wildly different in the book.
Yeah, Frank Jr.'s not in the book.
Yeah.
He's dead.
So we just don't know. I have Gus and May being a key event, like their stuff.
Yeah, I was kind of heartbroken for Gus a little bit.
Me too.
When, all this time, Gus is gruff. She's tough, right? But I felt like she was touched by May making the choice to come home to me. And when Gus sees the truth behind May's motivation to come home and realizes, you didn't do this for me, you did this for you. I really felt for her.
I did too, because we see Gus throughout the entire episode kind of ride for May.
Yeah.
Like she hears like two women talking about May and she says something to them. And then she's like proud of May's success. And I think she's thankful for May helping financially with the paying for the chickens and all that stuff, whatever. She's helping out. She's really proud of May. I think she's happy May's back. And then when she comes to the realization via Amanda that May is just there for one reason only, and to get back on TV, I felt for Gus. I really felt for Gus.
Yeah, and May, like, we really realize, like, kind of how self-centered May is here. The flashback to Kenneth coming to visit her. She's like, I'll get you next time. Like, he's already there.
Yeah.
And she did it only because she was so ashamed of the job she had taken. And I laughed out loud when they're like, you got to do the donk-a-donk dance. But Kenneth is like, whatever, man. Like, we all have jobs that we just got to take to get by. Like, I was your friend.
Yeah. To me, May operates on secrets. She does not want to live in her truth at all about like where she comes from or how she got there to where she's at now. Like she operates
Even with her fiance.
Yes.
And he's like, this weird charge just came through on your card. Is it some farm to table place? And then he was like, it's all right. You can get him out of it. Don't you guys know the governor? Hey,
Yeah.
How can you live a life like this?
I don't know. And we just talked about it when we reviewed Danube about like giving grace when you're fudging like the truth a little bit. May's gone too far at this point. Like that would break up a relationship.
This isn't someone she just met.
No.
They're engaged.
Yeah.
And she's made up all these lies about why he doesn't know them and where she comes from.
Right.
And it just comes from a place of shame. And it doesn't make you look better to look down on your origins and to look down on your family.
I mean, I get it. There's a lot of people who are not proud of where they come from, right? But
you're not better than those people.
agree.
Particularly, look, Gus has issues. And I would imagine that growing up in a house like that would be traumatic and would be unstable. And it wouldn't be the kind of place you'd want to bring friends home to. And it wouldn't be the kind of home you'd come home after school and feel like you could relax and feel safe.
Right.
I get all of that. But none of that makes Gus a bad person. That made Gus a person who was dealing with some shit. And I still think we haven't been given all of the information about why Gus is the way that she is. But you just look down on all of these people.
It makes May unlikable.
Yes.
I want to talk about the scene where May goes to Gus's house and they're standing in like the doorway, right? And finally, like the door opens to Gus's house and you see it's just packed to the front door.
Yeah,
with
all the way to the
stuff.
ceilings.
Like she obviously has a hoarding issue. All of that is very dark. And like I said before, like we're just scratching the surface. Like I feel like I need more. I honestly need less hijinks
Yes.
in terms of like pranking and all that stuff. The whole kitchen clash rivalry nonsense. I need more into this family history. And I was thinking about this. I was thinking about The Way Home. And I know we have had 2 seasons of The Way Home at this point. But when I think about Del and Kat and how their relationship is strained and it's filled with hurt and pain and they've hurt each other, it gives way more context to the story that's being presented in that show than what we have here. Like I feel like this show was promoted as this like rival restaurants and what's going to come of that and not really like this dark history of this family.
Yes.
It's just not getting there for me.
Well, and I also think when you think about The Way Home versus the Chicken Sisters is trying to do a lot. The Way Home is about Kat and Del and Alice. And yes, there's a lot of other characters involved, but at the heart of it, it's about the 3 of them. And they focus really strongly on the 3 of them. And they wait to build out a lot of those other relationships. It takes some time before we learn more about Colton. It takes time before we learn more about Elliot. And I don't feel like this show has done that. And I think probably because it is written, it's a book adaptation as opposed to a show that was written directly for television and trying to stay true. We were thrown into the fire of this first episode. And there's May and Amanda. There's Amanda and Gus. There's May and Gus. There's Amanda and Frank. There's Nancy and Frank. There's all of these these relationships. And we're trying to do Kenneth and May. We're trying to do so much right now, May and Jay,
That it's all surface for me.
It is very surface. Right?
Yeah.
I still enjoy the show, and perhaps it's because I've read the book, because I know where that story goes, that I still believe in our ability to bring it all back around. This episode, like you said, was so heavy on hijinks. I'm like, stop pranking each other. You are adult women. This is ridiculous. Like, you're going to go in and sabotage the sweet tea. That doesn't even seem like Amanda-like behavior to me.
Right.
But then you see all of these women at their breaking point. Like May is at her breaking point with Gus and is like, this is why I never came home. This is not a safe place for me. And Amanda has her moment where she's like, my mom disowned me because I married someone who worked for a different chicken restaurant. My sister left and is ashamed of us. My husband sucks. Like, you can kind of see why she's at her breaking point. And I felt like the scene at the end where she starts destroying things at Mimi's felt more like the kind of reaction a woman who is like, my life is out of control and it is not the life I wanted, than like tainting the sweet tea.
Yeah. So let's talk about that scene. My notes say Amanda's good girl run comes to an end.
Mine says, oh shit, the kiss in all caps.
Oh, well, we'll get there. She fights with Frank Jr., right? Because he has convinced her, yeah, let's go back. Let's do whatever, this like unknown sabotage, right? Frank's like pissed, and I feel like he's egging Amanda on, like, okay, we're gonna go do this. Yeah, let's go do this. And then he flakes, right? So she's pissed. But now, is she really pissed enough to like go and destroy things at her mother's restaurant?
It's so extreme, but I think it's
so
the culmination of like, she's like, this town has always judged me because I was a Mimi's girl. Then I became a Franny's girl and my mom disowned me. And all of these things are piling up. And she's like, what do you want from me?
I hear you. I just don't think it was executed that well.
But at the same time, I'm like, would you really do this to your mom? Like, knowing
They had her like slashing like
bags of flour.
But she was going to unplug the refrigerator for all their stuff to spoil. Like, that's just cold and heartless. That's beyond like putting salt in the sweet tea or whatever she did to it, you know?
Her sister painting over her sign.
Yeah, it was.
But then even beyond that, Sergio walks in and catches her.
Yeah.
And they have this steamy kiss. Like, he lifts her on the counter. And I was like, I can't even be excited about this.
No.
She's still married. Like, I understand you're mad, but it doesn't excuse like, you're cheating. You're a big old cheater.
To me, her kissing him, like, I know that they have been kind of like sparring a little bit. And I say sparring not as like fighting, but like flirting wise, right? For the last couple episodes. To me, she's not attracted to him. Like, she doesn't want to like have an affair with him because she has feelings for this guy. I think she's just pissed at Frank Jr. And so she's like, yeah, I'm going to get back. This is how I'm going to get back at you.
Yeah, it was weird because I didn't find the first couple episodes, I thought there was like, oh, some interest brewing. But in this episode, I didn't find there to be steaminess between the two of them. It felt like he was annoyed with her all the time.
Especially when he confronts her when she's sitting in the car, like laughing, watching all the customers like coming out because they had bad tea or whatever. And he's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, like, why are you doing this to your mom? Like, that makes you look real ugly. Like, win on your own merit.
Yeah, so it was kind of weird that he like grabbed her and they had this like...
Yes, because even like she runs that lady over and he walks her home. It's like, you owe me. But I was like, that's kind of a funny moment, right? That she like backs into her and he's like, now he's got to be her boy toy for the afternoon.
Yeah.
But I was like, this moment of like, it didn't make up for it. I don't know. I didn't love it. And as much as I'm kind of like, yeah, Frank sucks, I wish Amanda was with someone who appreciated her for who she is. This isn't what I wanted.
Yeah, I can't even get excited. I've watched plenty of shows where I get excited that somebody's like having an affair. It's salacious. You get like I'm not going to be like grabbing my pearls and being like, oh my God, they're having an affair. I can't watch this stuff. Like, I can be entertained by entertainment that is not morally correct.
The moment wasn't earned.
I agree. Absolutely agree.
Too. I feel like this was a moment that should have come.
Drag it out
later. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see where it's all going.
Well, how about Nancy sees them and knocks on the door? Hello, I see you.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that's the part that it's like, that feels rushed to me because now we got Nancy knows. So there's no secret.
Yeah.
It's not like she's carrying around this secret. Nancy knows.
Yeah. I don't know how Amanda's going to go to Nancy with her tail between her legs and be like, I'm so sorry. Don't you see that happening?
I do, and I'm envisioning the scene because Nancy was almost to the point after Frank saying,
You're no daddy.
it was almost to the point where Nancy was like done, right? Like you could see like, all right, I tried.
Yeah, but she doesn't leave mad. She's like,
Disappointed.
it's Jodi Picoult or whatever, or whatever it is.
Yes. But I certainly think she's disappointed. Like he has thrown this at her and she was like, I've done everything for you. But I could see that being the moment where she's like, I'm done. I'm Team Amanda here. And then Amanda goes and ruins it. But the other thing Frank Jr. said that I forgot that was so terrible is he says about Amanda, they were lucky to have me classing up their family tree. I was like, what a turd.
Totally. Question, what was Nancy going to Mimi's for that night? Was she going over there? Did Frank say that Amanda was over there doing like ruining things?
I don't think he told her specifically, but I don't know if she was going over there to stop something.
Yeah. Was she going over there to stop something, or was she going over there to try to get like her money back for overpaying for the chicken, or what was her motivation for being there? I don't know.
I don't think she'd be trying to get her money back because I think she knows that Gus needed that money because Amanda sabotaged the lunch rush. I don't know.
I have one more. Let's talk about Sabrina for a second.
yeah.
Sabrina continues to produce the hell out of this show. Obviously, I don't want to say she didn't blackmail her own daughter, but she encouraged her own daughter to. She obviously wanted the pranks and the sabotage to happen. She saw that Frankie was calling her mom out on it. She wanted to get Frankie out of the situation so Amanda would continue to do this stuff to make for TV, right?
When we see that flashback of Sabrina offering Lindsay the opportunity to get her phone back, having seen the moments between Lindsay and Frankie where Lindsay was kind of trying to be the better person, I was like, oh, I feel so bad for Frankie.
Yeah,
what a shitty thing to do. She's like, oh, you actually have talent.
Yeah, I feel bad for her.
Gross.
I know. Not great. Not so great. I am, on the flip side, interested in seeing something blossom between Sabrina and Gruster.
Me too. I wrote, new character unlocked.
Yeah, I'm into that. But then again, I'm not into that because too many things going on in a 45-minute episode. It's hard. It's hard. Now, if I can mention our Facebook group, somebody was like, I'm having a really hard time getting into this show because no one is likable. And I have to agree with that, with the exception of Kenneth. I like Kenneth.
Oh, yeah.
And I know Sabrina is not supposed to be likable either, but
she's fun.
She's fun to watch. But your major players, I don't like any of them.
Even Nancy, who seems like she's the most easily likable, you just want to smack her.
I want to shake her and be like, wake up.
Don't let your child walk all over you.
Right. If maybe Gus is the only person that I'm kind of rooting for.
That's interesting.
Only because Gus is dealing with a lot of stuff. I'm rooting for her in terms of helping her in her current situation. But I don't really like May. I don't like May. I really don't like Amanda. This is their key star on this show, and I don't like her.
I'm curious to see the turnaround.
I hope there is one. I hope there is one for me. Are you ready to move on?
I am.
To collect-worthy moments? I have two, actually.
Okay.
I really enjoyed the flashback with Kenneth in New York City, and the whole Sex and the City was so funny. It was so funny to me.
We have them pre-made for the tourists.
I thought it was hilarious. I thought it was really funny. The other part, and I mentioned the other scene or moment that I mentioned earlier was when we see inside of Gus's house and her. It was very emotional, I thought.
It was the pullback to just
Yeah.
see her standing.
Yeah.
And she just has to let May have her moment. And then, are you finished? And she shuts the door.
Yeah, that was great. How about you?
Those are both great. I mentioned this. The narrator has a lot of great moments. I'm glad we have the narrator keeping things going in the background. The through line about giving us a little more insight into why Amanda puts up with the things that she does when she calls Frank emotional bric-a-brac is an amazing line. And I also like that Frankie is kind of this good girl, right? Like even though she's gotten in trouble and she's like yes ma'aming her mom, she also is working the system when she she knows that the photo album is going to distract her mom enough to get her off her case. And so we get that insight of like, yeah, I'm a good student. I'm getting out of this town, but I'm still a teenager who's going to manipulate the hell out of my mom.
Sure.
I also thought the line May says to Kenneth, "We were children and now our skincare routines include retinol." It's great.
That was great. That was great.
Who's your other friend of the week?
For me, it's Jake Foy as Kenneth. I think he brings a nice levity to the show when it's needed. He's very funny. Like, I wish he had a bigger role, actually. You?
For me, it's Sergio because he's the only one calling these people on their shit. And he really gets up in Amanda's face. Like, what are you doing to your mom? Like, the whole point is this stupid kitchen competition.
Yeah, I have a question for you. And I know you read the book. How big does the show play in the book?
As big as it does here.
It's not very big, I feel like. We never see them. First of all, they're hardly in the restaurant working. Hardly.
But everything is because of the show. Like,
No, I understand that. And I'm trying to envision, because I thought like this reality kitchen class show was going to be like about cooking, right?
yeah. So in the book, which I think is what's happening here, they spend a couple of days like getting to know these people. They do like watching the run of the restaurant. And then they bring in judges with an actual judging.
Oh, okay.
So I think we might be leading up to that.
Okay. Can this go for a season 2?
Well, I talked about this before, but the book ends, there's kind of a change of direction. And so I think it can.
But
Obviously,
does
the source of conflict is going to change.
The kitchen clash part gets completely eliminated from it? Yeah. Okay. We don't rate these, do we?
Nope.
Okay. Remember. I'm hoping it turns around for me a little bit, because the first episode I loved, second episode, third episode, I'm hoping it comes together.
We shall see. New Chicken Sisters review out next week. Come back for that. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
All right, friends, before we go, just a quick heads up. You're about to hear some ads. These little gems help us keep the show running and the Hallmark love flowing. So do with that info what you will. Grab a snack, hit the skip button, or maybe, just maybe, listen in and discover your new favorite product. Bye.